everybody, welcome to Up at Noon. Are you ready for a Walker-infested show? All right. Up at Noon's Brian Altano debuts the Up at Noon Q&A with Cliff Bleszinski, and then Josh McDermitt, Dr. Eugene Porter from AMC's The Walking Dead, is here to tell me why the hell he shot up that truck. It was a dumb move. But first, the news you care about. The time period for the upcoming Star Wars Episode 7 has been revealed. The new movie will take place 30 years after Return of the Jedi and 16 years after we all stopped giving a shit about Star Wars. Walmart is entering the used game business and will soon accept game trades for store credit. The video game trade-in process should go smoothly at Walmart because Walmart is already the place where you go to trade in your dignity. Koji Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise to form his own game studio. Now, this of course breaks our heart here at Up at Noon, so to cheer everyone up, here are 8 Castlevania puns. Are you ready? Yeah! You gotta count along with me. 1! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise, and just like a vampire, this news sucks. 2! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. I guess he wanted to spend more time with his mummy. 3! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. Man, that company is gonna be a real skeleton of its former self without him. 4! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. I bet whoever Konami replaces him won't be able to hold a candle to the famous producer. There are candles. 5! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. Sound like Konami crossed him one too many times. 6! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. We reached out for further comment, but he said he didn't want to be asked any more questions about it. 7! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. That job sounded like a real monster. And 8! Igarashi has left the Castlevania franchise. Man, oh man, what a total drag. Kula! Come on, no? Bruh? I would say at least 3 of those 8 were awesome. Sony revealed the prototype for their new virtual reality helmet, Project Morpheus, last week. And while the final version could be years away, our very own Up at Noon superfan, Greg Atlas, actually built a version that you can make at home today. Let's take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, who needs billions of dollars of research and development costs when you've got duct tape and a pair of Oakley sunglasses? And finally, the annual Game Developers Conference took place last week here in San Francisco, and thousands of game developers came together to discuss their craft. And what will probably be remembered as a huge mistake, we sent Up at Noon lead writer Brian Altano to interview one of the biggest game developers, Cliff Bleszinski. Brian!
Thanks, Greg. If you're a gamer, GDC is a fantastic time to meet your heroes. And when I heard I had the chance to meet the guy who created Gears of War and Jazz Jackrabbit, I racked my brain for the hard-hitting questions. What's his next project, I thought? Oh no, far too easy. What's his favorite video game ever? Oh, who cares? Wait, I got it. Hey, Cliff Bleszinski, why did you block me on Twitter?
Well, Brian, the reason I blocked you on Twitter was because I posted a photo of my lovely 3-year-old niece and you called her a
Brian Altano, everybody. Man, that is a hairy situation. Speaking of hairy situations, Greg Way, my next guest has the worst hair on AMC's The Walking Dead, but he could be the key to saving humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Eugene Porter, a.k.a. Josh McDermitt. As I live and breathe, Josh McDermitt. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. You've made it. You're on AMC's The Walking Dead. You're a millionaire. That's how it works, right?
Quite.
Acting and hit shows, and
I
here you
think
go.
I'm paying them to be on the show, to be honest.
You are one of the new characters. Eugene Porter.
Dr. Eugene Porter.
You didn't go to medical school for 10 years to get swept under the rug at the zombie apocalypse. Talk to me. I'm a big Walking Dead fan, obviously. I know the comics. I know a lot about Eugene Porter. Again, if you're watching at home, we're not going to spoil the show. We're not going to spoil the comics for you. We're going to dance around all that. Is is that tough walking into a character like this that I already have in my head what he should look like?
Yeah, I think it is tough. I mean, but what you envision is different from what I envision and from what other people. You know, the great thing is he is coming out of the comic books, so we have a sketch of him.
Sure.
I always kind of pictured him with blonde hair, but my character has brown hair.
Did you almost walk off the set when they said that?
Yeah, I just started. I almost killed Norman Reedus.
Wow, that's hard.
I was like, get rid of Daryl now.
It's him or me.
But yeah, so it is tough, and then the other thing is like, you know, because he's on paper with the comics, we don't know what he sounds like. We just kind of just have the dialogue that he's doing. So I really have to rely on Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple, our showrunner, just to kind of push me in the direction that they want and for their vision. And thankfully, the fans have just been completely awesome. I thought coming into this being such like a memorable character, along with Abraham and Rosita, that they would just be like, what is this?
Yeah.
But they, like 99.9%, there's a few stinkers out there.
On the internet?
No. Yeah, but that's what's surprising is like the internet's just been overwhelmingly positive.
Well, I mean, like being a big comic nerdy fan like myself, when you guys got, like I've told you this story, right? I'm sitting there with Scott Lowe, y'all know this guy, the Tech Tower from IGN, and we are drunk. And we are watching this episode, and you guys show up at the end of it, all three of you, and I stood up, I'm like, yeah! And Scott's like, what? I don't understand what's happening. I'm like, that you guys looked exactly like you were pulled off the comic book page and put on the show.
Yeah, and that's really what they were going for. Issue 53 is the first comic book that we come out in, and we're right on the cover, and that's kind of the tableau, the image that they wanted. And when we walked up to the crew, they wanted us in a certain position when the crew saw us for the first time, and even they were like the same reaction as you, like, whoa, like it was crazy. And it's weird because I didn't get to see it. I'm on the other side of it, but I just have to, you know, see everyone's reactions to it. And
that's when you became the millionaire.
That's when I became the millionaire.
All right, cool. So then we say all this stuff. Again, not spoiling anything here. Eugene Porter he's still knocking around in the comics as now. So like, do you have like a 17-year deal with AMC? You're all set?
Yeah, it's a 21-year deal.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the thing. It's like the comics. There are characters that are still alive in the comics that are dead on the show.
Yeah.
There are comics on the show that aren't, or characters in the show that aren't even in the comics.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there's ever any sort of like, yeah, I got this now. You know, it's like people are still kind of, you know, even talking with Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, he's like, yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to last. And let's be honest, they're never killing that guy. But even he's kind of like, I don't know, because you just don't know. They want the TV show to be different from the comics.
Right. So then that's what's interesting about your character, is that, you know, you've shown up now, and I guess this is a spoiler for right now if you haven't seen his character, but why even watching the show at this point? The jokes are over. Now it's this. Anyway, you show up and, you know, you're here to save humanity. They're taking you out to get you to Washington, D.C. to figure out what you know and everything else. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in the comics, we've seen how that storyline plays out. We know what the end point of that part of the thread is. Are you kept on your toes? Are they trying to keep us on the toes that maybe it goes a different direction this time?
Yeah, I think there's so much more viewership than the readership with the comics.
Which is bullshit. Please sort out your life and read the comics.
Yes, please. That they're able to kind of do what they want and not necessarily have anything spoiled. I'm definitely kept on my toes. I read up on Eugene. I was a big fan of the comics. I know, you know, what happens and everything, but I also know that that's not necessarily what's going to happen in the show.
Sure.
So the great thing is I still get to rock a mullet.
Is that the great thing? I don't know. Did they show it to you and you're like, oh, man.
No, man. Well, see, because my hair is naturally blonde, and they just, you know, they kind of clip extensions into the back here. And we're filming, you know, an hour south of Georgia, in the middle of nowhere. And I was so embarrassed, to be honest. Like I walked in, I was just like, I can't believe I have a mullet now. And because they give you a flat top, and then they leave a little bit here, so it looks like you're like trying to grow a mullet. It's like that guy who's like trying to grow a mustache. It's just sad.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed. I said, can you please just take me to the store so I can get a hat? And they rolled me into Walmart, and I walk in, and I see like 5 dudes with the same haircut, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not embarrassed. But to answer your question, you know, it's interesting to see where this is going to head with this storyline, because, you know, he shows up on the scene and he says, hey, I know what caused the apocalypse. I know how to stop it. That's kind of our mission right now. And you're looking at the other characters, and they're like, okay, this dude's got a mullet, but he's a scientist. Like, what is going on here? You know?
And he shot the truck like an idiot.
And he shot... Well, like an idiot, or did he do that on purpose?
Oh! If somebody was working the camera, I'd want them to like, do the quick zoom.
You can do that later.
I can't telepathically tell them to do the zooms, though.
Yeah, well, you know, so when Eugene shot the truck, I mean, that's the thing that I get asked a lot is like, well, how come, if he's so smart, how come he doesn't know how to use a gun? I mean, do you know how to use a gun?
I've shot once in Texas, and I was scared, and Freddie Wong had to walk me through it.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you had, in the moment, had to grab a machine gun and save your life, you got zombies coming at you from both angles.
Yeah.
Who knows what you're going to do. But I think the thing that we're going to find out with Eugene is, he's kind of playing a chess match in his head. You got to stay a few moves ahead of everyone. And, I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy, but he's definitely trying to survive himself, and that's kind of where this is coming into play.
When did you film all this?
We shot August through November.
Okay, so
last year, yeah.
What was your, relationship with The Walking Dead before, and then was this a tough secret to keep? Nobody knew you were coming, and then bam, there you were.
Yeah, it was really tough because, it was my favorite show.
Oh, really?
I absolutely loved it. And when I got the audition for it, I just went nuts, but they're very secretive over which characters they are. So, again, because there's characters that are not in the comics that are on the show, I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
So they just kind of give you a little breakdown. All the material that you audition with has nothing to do with the show. It's just all character-based, backstory sort of things. And so I literally didn't know what I was stepping into. And it wasn't until after I booked the job that I found out it was Eugene. And at that point, I know who Eugene was in the comics.
Sure.
And I just went nuts, So that's kind of, my relationship is just going, I was just in love with the show. It was my favorite show. And now to be able to play someone who's just this memorable is kind of a dream,
Yeah, totally. So then now you're filming for this time period. You talked about, you talked to Norman Reedus and stuff. You guys, were you in the same group at all the time? Because what I don't understand and what I love about this second half of season 4 is that all the episodes have broken off into smaller character pieces,
yeah.
right? Yeah, there's all these subgroups. So were you all in one group camp? You saw each other at the craft services, and then everybody ran off to the corners of Georgia to film their part?
Yeah, we would all kind of meet up in one area, and depending on, as we're leaving, Norman's coming and everything, and that was kind of cool. He's so sexy, I can't even just, instantly I'm really intimidated, but...
Is he cool? Because he seems like he's too cool for school, and I'd walk up and try to talk to him, and he'd be like, what?
He's super cool. He's the sweetest guy, really nice, hilarious, very funny sense of humor, and just, I'm literally intimidated by the guy. Just because he's this sex symbol, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Get it? He's sexy.
There he is, so I want to touch him. Can I get it? You mind if I get a picture? I was playing total fanboy. But he's super cool, and everybody's really nice because that's the other thing. It's they like to kill their main characters,
right?
Why give the producers a reason to kill you? Oh, this guy's a dick. Let's get rid of him.
So then, I guess, is that tough? You want to be on the show forever because you want to keep being a millionaire. But do you, every time you get a script, is there a deep breath where you start reading real quick to see if you make it?
Yeah, I think in talking to other cast members and stuff, they'll find out something that something's happened to their character, something maybe they got shot or something, and they're flipping the pages, looking to see to make sure they live. They don't even finish the rest of the script, and they're just just breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah, I think I'd certainly flip to the back first, just to make sure.
Okay.
I've heard that they don't just hand you the script and you find out, you have a meeting beforehand, and
right.
they kind of, tell you to turn in your ID badge. And
I was going to say, that's even scarier, right?
Yeah.
Hey, they want to come talk to you. You want to get lunch today? You're like, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, Scott Gimble called me once just to tell me that they were cutting a scene that we shot. And the scene we shot took 3 or 4 days, and it was just this big ordeal of a thing. And they cut scenes all the time and don't tell you, but he was calling to say that because we put so much time into it. And he called, and I was freaking out. I was like, is this the death call? And he's like, why does everyone say that? You can't call people, man. You have to,
we don't get to talk to you
just send me a text. Hey, we're cutting that scene. That'd be fine. Don't be like, I need to talk to you. Are you alone?
Yes, It's probably time for you to sit down.
Yeah. So
fan reaction's been positive to you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you still try to steel yourself going into this? Walking Dead elicits reactions. People love it. They hate it. They don't like this. They like this character. Twitter explodes every time a new episode goes live. Did you have to take counseling? Did the other classmates sit you down and be like, listen, I know I'm sexy Norman Reedus, but you got to get ready.
You can't expose your arms like I do.
Yeah.
That's what he keeps telling me. Yeah, I think it's slowly building at this point, just because Eugene's so new.
Yeah.
you know, people are starting to catch on. I definitely look different now than I do when we were shooting and everything. So like I'm not like getting recognized or anything, which is kind of fun. To not be recognized yet.
She's walking to every comic shop and like, hey, what do you guys think of The Walking Dead? And then,
yeah,
Eugene guy.
Yeah, we went out to dinner once, and like the whole cast was there, and it was just everybody, and like people are just like sneaking pictures and like going nuts, and some people came up and said, hey, can we grab a picture? And you know, they're asking like Steven Yeun, who plays Glenn. And they're like, sure. And they like turn to me and like, sir, would you take our picture? Yes.
You'll rue the day.
I make sure I flip it around, get a couple selfies for them. You know, you'll remember this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you know, like the fan reactions have just been great, and that's what it's really all about. Like this, it's the fans' show. Like everybody has their favorite characters, but the show is bigger than the characters, and I think the fans know that.
Okay. Well, The Walking Dead wraps up this Sunday, the big finale. Do you
What's
live?
gonna
Do
happen?
you live through? You know what happens. Or do you only know your part?
I know my part. I'm just going to spoil it right now. I kill everybody.
How do I use this machine gun? Checkmate, Eugene. And you just walk off into the sunset.
The show ends prematurely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not going to tell you. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah.
Seriously, though. Well, you are a national treasure, Josh. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I really want to be America's sweetheart.
Yes. True story. I won this dollar by not screwing up the name Koji Igarashi. Thank you to Brian Altano, Cliff Bleszinski, Josh McDermitt, and you, my audience. If you want to be in that audience, go.ign.com/up@noon for details. Also, there's a new official IGN Android app now available in the Google Play Store. You can use it to customize your IGN news feed, save articles to read later, and even use it as a full-featured video player so you can watch Up at Noon on the toilet. That's where we belong, man. That's where we are. That's where we are. The toilet. As always, Brian and I will be responding comments. The first hour of this video is live, so come tell us if you think this season of AMC's The Walking Dead is awesome. The correct answer is it totally is, and if you say it isn't, you suck. We'll be back next Monday at noon with Chris Jericho, but until then, I'm going back to bed. DaveFenoy.com.